In this tutorial, I'll explain how pricing functionality works in JobPro. So let's start off by going into the Products module. In here we can set up both products and services. And when you create a new product or a service, it defaults to a price category. Now the price categories are set up in Setup, which we'll have a look at in a minute. So for example, I'm creating a new record. We can see on the pricing tab that the default price category is retail. So if we put in a price in here, we can see that it's entered in here as well. So in addition to just manually putting in a price, we can also put in some price breaks for the current price category that we're editing at the product or service level. Okay, so let's create a price break for retail for this sample product. And we put in, from say quantity 1 to 10, the price is 100. And from 11 to 20, we'll say 95. And then from 21 upwards, everything will be at 90. We can also create additional categories here. And the menu that appears here we can set in Setup. So let's just put in trade. And we'll say the price for that is a fixed price of 80. And we won't actually put in price breaks for that. So let's go into Setup. And then into Lists and Menus. And if we scroll down, we can select price category. So in here there's a few samples: retail, not-for-profit and trade. And the default is used that for every new product or service you create, it auto enters in the default price category from Setup. So let's go back into products. For this product then, we could put in a cost price, or we can base the cost price on costings that make up this product. So let's just put in a cost price of 50. And it'll show then the markup and profit. While we're in the products file, I'll just show you how the cost price can be also set up. So we can specify for a particular product multiple suppliers. So let's link this to a supplier. And we can add in another supplier. Put in another price. And let's set that to be the current supplier. So if we look at the purchasing tab, we can see both of those suppliers. We can specify a supplier part number, minimum order quantity, but we also can specify the cost price when it was updated, by who and when, relating to each supplier. So if we create a purchase order, which you can also do from here, it'll use the relevant cost price for the supplier that's used on the PO. So back to the sell price functionality. For each customer that you set up, you can default a customer to be a specific price category. So anytime you do a quote, sales order, or an invoice, for example, for a customer, it'll then use the relevant price coming from the product or the service record, if there is one. Otherwise, if there's no match at the customer level, it'll just use the default price category for that product or service. So let's go into the company module. And let's do a search on customers. And we go in then into the products tab for a customer. Now we have the same functionality at the contacts level. So if you sell to individuals, you can also set up price categories for each customer who is an individual. But on the products tab, here we can specify what category to use as a default for this customer on a quote or a sales order or an invoice. We can also specify a discount percentage. So that will apply a discount to the line item as you add products and services to a customer's quote or a sales order or an invoice. But we also have the ability to override everything else and specify specific pricing for a customer. So let's say a customer negotiates a set price for a certain product or service. You can add that in here. So let's add in an item. And for that item, we can put in even price breaks as well, or just put in a quantity of 1 so that any quantity is at a certain price. So every time that product is used for this customer in various parts of the system, it'll use that set price and not the price based from the products module. So let's create a quote just to give you an example of this. We'll do it from this customer record. And we'll add a line item then. And if we then select the product we were looking at, or the one that we link to that customer, we can see it uses the sell price specific to that customer. But let's put in a more realistic price anyway. So that covers how pricing works in JobPro. So to recap, we've got a few different levels. We've got a level where we can put in specific pricing for a customer, or we can assign them to a price category, also assign a discount across the board for that customer, or if none of those are used, it'll then pick the default price category for a product coming from the products module for a product or a service.